bring something up here. I think it's on my Twitter profile. Yeah, here it is. Yeah. That's the settings tab. Here, I'm going to share my screen. Here it is. Here's a convenient list. So if you want to go to my Twitter, you'll find this really handy-dandy list in case somebody calls, a queer person or a liberal or a leftist. There you go. It's right here. Convicted.
Dennis Hassett was the Speaker of the House. I don't know for how many years, the longest Speaker Republican. He used to be a college coach. He had a recliner in the children's bathroom so he could watch little kids take shower. That piece of shit. He was conservative. He was hanging around with Bush. He was after Newt Gingrich. He was the Speaker of the House, and he was a. I'm telling you, man. And if you go to these true crimes, they have this guy who's a senator, I think, in Oklahoma. He got caught looking for a 16-year-old. It's so fucking cringy. And they are sick, man. They're sick.
They are bad men. Bad men.
Yeah.
So we have either Matt Walsh and him covering the Sam Smith Grammy performance, or we have Lauren Shen raging at Chelsea Handler's video where she was talking about her,
she's the Candace Owen of the Asian community. She wants to be white so bad, and she's defending white nationalism, white Proud Boys, whatever. There's a movement inside the Asian community to become white, to become like, I don't know, man. I don't want to say get in trouble. Go ahead, let's see what. Who's that?
Yeah. Are you talking about the Korean guy who made that white people are so f***ing persecuted video?
Yeah, with the with the Vice.
No. I'm talking about Vaush covered this. It was a kid who I think was an exchange student in a red sweater. And this video went viral because a lot of he's got in on it early and liked it and commented on it.
There's a movement in they use in the Asian community as an adjacent to the white community. I know the Asian community. They're very the Indian and Asian community. They're very obedient when they see white people. They're like, they see them as a let's say, I know it's gonna sound strange, but it's true. I heard that a lot and I read about it. If somebody gets married to a white person from the Asian, it's like a move up for them. You know what I'm trying to say here? Even you see this alliance where they're suing for affirmative action, they're suing Harvard and all that stuff. And
affirmative action is to ameliorate systemic inequities in hiring and education, higher education. Because we know blacks disproportionately get their applications rejected, so we put affirmative action in place to help these students out. And every time these Asian and white affirmative action, lawsuits take place, it's all traced back to some really vehemently anti-Semitic group or group with ties to straight up Nazis. So, I tread with caution on that front. Okay.
Yeah, I know, but I'm telling you, there's a movement out there. I know it. I read about it. Certain people in the Asian community, I think the young guys, wherever they think they belong to the Caucasian part of the world, or the ideas, or they want to belong to that club. You understand what I'm saying?
Fuck that, man.
Yeah, one time they had this Vietnam kid. He's very smart. He wrote a book or something, and he was with what's his name? Grims when he was still on Ryzen. Grimes, what's his name?
Grimes.
Yeah, we Asians, we're higher in mathematics, we're better than the blacks and all that shit. I was so upset. I wanted to fucking respond.
Yeah. If you're an Asian person that aligns with this,
their parents died in Vietnam, so you can have a life and come to the United States and talk on Twitter and all that. And black people been here for 400 years. They didn't have the same thing you had. They were slaves. They were beat up. Jim Crow. Systematic racism.
I think I know who you're talking about.
He was with Laura too. He's so. I don't know the way he talks. Shut the fuck. Let's see what let's not get in trouble. I'm famous anyway. Fuck them.
I'm just gonna say, if you're an Asian that aligns with the sort of let's buddy up with the conservative white people, I'm gonna deck you in a video game, okay? And by that, YouTube, I mean, I'm gonna give you a soft pat on the head.
I used to go to college, and in the college, we had we had like the student organizations, we had the Muslim organizations, the Arab organization, and the Muslim organization. There's a lot of Indians and subcontinent Indians or Muslims. I used to see the way when they see the professor, they become so obedient, like a little boy in front of somebody. They look at him as different, godly like. I'm like, what the fuck, man? Put your wings up, man. Talk like a man. What are you doing? That's how they look at it. I don't know. I don't know what the word is for it, but I know. I heard Billy. What's that? A lot of Asians say that. A lot of that. If a girl marries a white guy, or a guy, or Indian marries a white woman, or that, it's like even blacks. Once they become famous, they're marrying to the white. I had that in Twitter. I'm gonna get in trouble today, man, but I want to speak my mind. Okay, free has nothing to do with this, people. Even people, as soon as they become rich or famous, it's like it's like a reward. I'm gonna marry. You know what I'm saying?
Marry up.
Even Ilhan Omar, she married that white guy. Ilhan, what the f doing? You divorced your husband? Anyway, let me get out of that, man. Let's go. Let's see what Sam the husband has to say. We sound an anti-white. Are they gonna use that against us? We love them whites. We especially love the uneducated ones. Go ahead.
Yeah. Like this whole, let's buddy up with the conservatives. Like it's got to be an op of some kind. It's got to be an op.
I feel sorry for poor white people who their kids are dying of opiate. They don't know what's going on. They're drinking themselves to death in these towns. That the factories left because of NAFTA, because of these trade policies of investment in different countries. I mean, I don't care. Make something. You could make an umbrella. I'll buy it. It costs $15. I'll buy it here if you make it in America. Say it made in America. I don't care because I want, So these people are victim of their own elite. They need to wake up. There's something called, I want you to read that later, man. It's called something, the Bacon Rebellion. I love this. I don't like the way how it started because he wanted to kill the Indians. This guy named Bacon, he died. But in the long term, he managed to unite poor whites plus indentured servants. The whites were like slaves, but they had to wait 7 years. And black slaves. And they rebuilt it in Jamestown and they burned the whole capital. I think I don't know if it was Jamestown. They burned it all down. After that, in 1676, this is 1665. In 1671, the name color white became an ethnicity. They finally found out we got to be careful. We got to use these poor whites to our advantage. And after that, that's it.
Because
they've been rioting them since then. The first time that word white came into I read about this in the Oxford University, the Oxford dictionary, whatever it's called. In 1671 that they started using the actual word to describe an ethnicity, because in my country we don't describe people according to color. Like you say, I'm black, I'm white. It's considered an ethnicity here in the United States. Right or wrong, right?
Do you think Yugoslavia cared at all about the race of people? Fuck no. It's culture, it's ethnicity.
I'm gonna show you a picture of my father. My father is black as. I mean, if he was here, you think he's black. My mother is white. She looks Irish, is white. But the way it is that we don't see color. I can't say I'm biracial.
But you're both Arabs, right?
Yeah, we don't see that.
Your parents are both Arabs, right?
They're both Arab from the same country, but my father happens to be dark. And when we see people who are very dark, like colored, like black, we say, oh, these are from the region, from the south of the country. We don't see them as black, we see it as regional. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Oh, these guys, like let's say, these guys are Southerners, or Northerners, or whatever we want to call them, or Westerners. But we don't see that in our eyes. The only time I ever saw that color was an ethnicity is in the United States or in Western society. That white has to be a whole swath of group, are not Caucasian, they're not Germans, they're not Italians, they're not. All of a sudden, they just gave them one word, white. The same thing, black. I could understand black. They have no sense of history because they lost their history or the background due to slavery. But you don't see somebody say, I'm a German American, I'm an Irish. Sometimes the Irish, they do say that, the older. But white is white. For the first time in my life, since I became to being, the only time I ever saw color as an ethnicity or to describe a group of people is in Western society in the United States. in Arabia, you go to Yemen. There's a group called the marginalized. They are Africans. We consider them. We say black, but they're people. They are remnants of Ethiopian who invaded our country. But they don't want. They don't want to assimilate. They don't want to assimilate. We call them, but we don't call them black. We call them the marginalized because we see them as marginalized by our government. They're not given their rights. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
One day, I'm gonna take a picture. I'm gonna send it to you in private. My mother and my father. You'll see. My father, he came to the United States in the '60s. I swear to God, he told me. I didn't know what he said. Son, one time in California, there's a certain. They're very. They would serve him.
Wow. California, Jesus.
Yeah, because they used to work in the grape, the grape business. They used to work, they used to collect grapes. He said there's certain areas. He says, but he didn't know what that means, and I had to explain to him. He said we sat down there for an hour, and nobody would serve it. I said, oh, well, I told him they thought you were black. That's why. He goes, wait. I said they didn't serve black people in that restaurant. They didn't like it because they're racist. You understand what I'm saying here?
Yeah.
But I don't walk around and say, I'm a biracial guy. No, I'm an Arab. I'm proud. I'm Arab American.
Because.
Go ahead.
We're kind of far off. There's a part of me that wants to stay on the racial discussion, but I know we've got to get past this and then stream. Anyway, I want to introduce to you, and this is something eventual, but I want to introduce to you the idea that race is like a social construct. That doesn't imply it's all your feelings or some sort of dangerous relativism. No, it's the idea that we as a society classify people into racial categories we've invented based on their phenotype. Because when we see people as black or white or yellow, we're not, getting at their haplogroups and mtDNAing them and, looking at Klein clusters. Nobody does that. Because what we do in racial classification is just, hey, this guy looks black. He's black. This guy looks, like an Essler. He's probably, from south of the border. He's probably Latino or something.
Yeah. We used to think in regional terms, not in color, not in ethnicity. Say, that's that guy. Oh, that's what they're from the south of the country, the south of Yemen. That's why they talk like that.
Yeah.
They're more toward the desert and toward the sun, and we're from the. Go ahead, man. Let's go to the. What's her name?
Chelsea Handler and Lauren Jen. But just last statement. One thing I want to say is that it's the vast consensus of anthropologists and geneticists and evolutionary biologists in saying that race is just a social construct and races biologically have no basis because obviously there's Klein clusters and nonsense, but there's no fine line. There's no absolutely separating line between one race and another. It's just all a spectrum, essentially.
Look at Twitter. This is me as a kid with my father. I don't have another picture. You on Twitter?
Yeah, I'm not going to show this on stream.
No, don't show it. This is between me and you.
Yeah, I'm not going to show it.
This is me when I first came to the United States. Look how skinny I was.
Oh my God.
You see how I look? That's my father in front of me. See how dark he is?
God, I honestly would have thought that guy was black. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
I could get away with the N-word if I wanted to, but I'm not going to use it. I know that my father, and I have more pictures. He's dark as hell. He's black. And if I show you, I don't have the picture of my mother. I'm gonna send it to you. She looks Irish. She's so white because the region of Yemen she's from, we're very light skinned, like me. See how light skinned I am?
Yeah.
You understand the region we're from? But I happen to take after my mother. I have brothers who take after my father, but in the sense, if you want to classify us, my father would pass for black in the United States. He would be considered a black man. You understand?
Because we just the way races are constructed is we just look at people and say, yeah, this guy looks what I think to be black. He is black. Now, your father,
you saw that, right?
He's genetically pretty much Arab, probably some percent African, but let's just assume he's mostly Arab. Most black people in the United States are East and South African.
I took a DNA test. I'm 6% from Ethiopia in Africa.
Yeah.
But
that's
95% Arab from the Middle East, Turkish, toward Turkey, toward that. Because you got to understand, Yemen was invaded by not invaded, but it was mixed with Turkish, Well,
Yeah, the Ottoman.
with Serbian like, blacks and stuff like that. Because we happen to be like 10 minutes, 15 minutes away from the Africa. Like if you see the portion of
Yeah.
the Red Sea. Anyway,
Yeah,
I mean,
Yemen.
we got off, but you saw the picture. Don't I pass? You saw me, right? You see how young I looked in that picture, and I was skinny, malnourished.
Yeah,
God
yeah.
bless America. This is when I came. This is when I came to the United States. This is how old I was. I didn't speak not one word of English in that picture. Nothing. You understand? God bless the United States. Go ahead, man. Let's go ahead.
Yeah. So that's how race is, you know.
Yeah.
If we were to get, I don't know, your father's genetic test, probably like some percent black, almost entirely Arab. But if we were to take the genetic profiles of most black people in the United States, we'd say, you know, like partially white, mostly East and South African. So these people who are genetically different just look the same. It's all phenotype. That's what I'm trying to say. I'll make that into a segment on its own. Let's just cover. I wanted to do.
Omar is black. We find out that Omar is black, and he's been undercover as a white person. And you know what? We're white in the United States. If you go to 1915, it's called the Dow. I don't know what the lawsuit was. And let me give you a little history before we leave. Before the civil rights movement, nobody could become a citizen unless you are white or born in the United States. So a police officer who has to be from Syria, you know, they look very fair skin, was a green card, but he was a police officer in California. He gave a ticket to a white person. They said he cannot give a ticket because he's not considered American citizen. They sued and went up to the appellate court, and they ruled that Arabs, it's called Nema, or it's a North African and Middle Eastern Nema. It's called. That are considered a part of the Caucasian race, because at that time they broke the world. The whites, they broke the world three races: the yellow, which is considered Chinese or Oriental, and there's white and there's black. There's only three things. But the problem when they did that, those Arabs were all Christians. Then when the Arabs, the Muslims started coming in the 40s and 30s, then they had another problem. But they can reverse it. And Arabs, they sued because they want to be classified as an ethnicity. Because you know you get a lot of money, you know, from the government. But since we're classified as white, we don't get any special funds like for our school, things of that. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We sued, but they said no, you're white. I said, but the white people, they say we're not white. So you can't tell us we're white while the racists say we're not white. You got to let us know. But the whole issue here is that color should not be an issue at the end of the day.
Yeah.
You saw my father, right? I mean, if he was in the 60s, they won't let him even in a hotel. If he went down south, he was here in the 60s, but he happened to live in New York. But he went to South Carolina. He was colored only. Probably you don't know how to read English. They'll probably beat the shit out of him if you try to get into a hotel or anything. Anyway, go ahead, man.
Yeah, that's an entire segment.